My ex forbade me from making handmade soap. He said it was a waste of time. 40 bars, made with my own hands, and I stood over a trash can and said I was sorry. I didn't know that for the next year he'd be watching me. From the very first video until 220,000 people, he never said a single word. Let me tell you how I found out. I make soap that looks like real fruit. Lemons, strawberries, tiny limes you want to bite. 220,000 people watch me cut it and cure it and wrap it. People order it for weddings, for gifts, for themselves. And there's a man who used to tell me every single day in the softest voice that my hands were good for nothing, that soap was playing, not a job, that I was wasting my life. I'm about to tell you the part I've never said out loud, the part where I found out he was watching the whole time. Before him, my hands never stopped. Little clay figures as a kid, knitted scarves on the bus, and eventually soap, fruit soap. I'd stand at my kitchen table at night, shaping a lemon out of wax, and for an hour the rest of my life went quiet. It was the only thing I ever did where I didn't check the clock. Then I met him, and at first he loved it. He'd watch me pour and say, "You could actually sell these." I thought I'd finally found someone who saw me. He was watching me then too. I just didn't know what his watching meant yet. It started soft. "Still playing with your little soaps?" I'd come home from a 12-hour shift at the shop, the real job, and he'd be on the couch saying it with a smile, like a joke. But it wasn't a joke. Jokes don't make you hide your hands under the table. Babe, I'm just being honest. Nobody's buying soap from a checkout girl. He always said, honest, like honesty was a hammer and I was the nail. He didn't forbid it all at once. He just checked. He'd pick up a bar and turn it over, with this look, like he was holding a child's drawing. Cute, but you need a real career. I'm thinking about our future. This is for us. And because he said it soft, because he said for us, I started to believe the problem was me. My hands were the problem. The one thing I loved was the thing that made me useless. He watched everything. He checked my phone. He needed to know where I was, who I talked to. I told myself it was love. It wasn't love. It was surveillance. I just didn't have that word yet. One night I came home and the kitchen smelled too clean. I opened the drawer, the good batch, 40 bars, cut and cured and perfect, and it was empty, under the sink. The trash can, he'd thrown them in one by one. I know it was one by one because the bars on top weren't even dented. He took his time. He wanted me to count them. I stood there with my coat still on, and my hands went cold. And the voice in my head, his voice, calm as a doctor, said, "See, I told you, you're wasting your life." After that, I stopped hiding it and started apologizing for it. I'd see wax and feel my shoulders drop. My body learned the lesson before my brain did. I wasn't allowed to be happy doing this. The night it broke wasn't loud. It was the quietest night of all. I'd hidden a few bars under the bathroom sink, the one place he never looked. He found them. He held one up, this little lemon, green at the tip, and he didn't yell. He looked disappointed. That was worse. And I did it. The words came out before I could stop them. "I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'm sorry for making something with my own hands." I apologized. For having hands that made things. And I meant it. That's the part that still makes my throat close. I meant every word. I left 3 weeks later. No fight. No dramatic exit. I just stopped coming back. I moved into a room with a mattress on the floor and a window that didn't shut all the way, and I told myself I was free. I wasn't. Because the voice came with me. He wasn't in the apartment anymore, but he was in my head, and he had my address. I'd walk past a craft store and my chest would go tight. I'd scroll past soap supplies and scroll faster, like I'd been caught. And one morning, I caught myself standing over a trash can, holding a bag of wax melts I'd bought and hidden in my backpack, about to throw them away, before he could see. And he wasn't even there. That's the real bottom, by the way. Not when he threw the soap away. When I almost threw it away myself. And then it got worse, the way it always does. I lost the checkout job. Rent due in 2 weeks. $112 in my account. I sat on that mattress in the dark, adding numbers on my phone over and over, like the math would change if I stared long enough. And the voice said, warm, like a nurse, "This is what happens when you don't have a real job." And I believed it, because by then, it wasn't his voice anymore. It was mine. Then, in that dark, something cracked. a hairline crack, like ice. And for the first time in a year, I asked the question back. Who told me my hands were worthless? A man I left, and he's not here. I said it out loud, in the dark, like a confession going the other way. I am not worthless. My hands are not the problem. He lied. Then I got up and I wrote it down. Not to send, to read back to myself. Made with hands you called good for nothing. I taped it to my shelf. Not for him, for me. So every time I forgot, I'd have to read it out loud. So I made soap again, 1 bar on my counter at 2 in the morning. Not for money, because I wanted to. And my hands didn't shake. For the first time in a year, they were steady. Therapy. A new person in my life who walked in while I was elbow deep in wax and said, "Oh, the strawberries again," like it was the most normal job on earth. And I started posting videos. Just my hands, pouring, cutting. No face, no talking. The number went up. 46 subscribers, then 47, then 100, 1,000. I never checked who they were. I just watched the number climb. 1 year later, 220,000. And then last month, I was cleaning up my office and I found my old phone in a drawer. Dead. I charged it to pull 1 photo and there it was. A screenshot from my first week. 47 subscribers. I'd never looked at the names before. This time, I did. Number 47, his account, his name. The man who threw 40 bars of my soap in the trash to teach me I was worthless was my 47th subscriber. He'd been watching since the first week. 1 year. Silent, no comment, no like I ever noticed. Just watching me win. And I sat there with my hands hovering over the keyboard, waiting for the old cold to come back, waiting for his voice. It didn't come. And that's the actual twist. Not that he was watching, that it didn't matter anymore. Because that note I'd taped to my shelf 1 year ago, made with hands you called good for nothing, I'd been answering him this whole time. And I didn't even know he was in the room. So I didn't block him. I didn't message him. I just looked at that list for a long time. And then I closed it. And I went back to packing orders. 40 bars for a shop in the next town. My first wholesale order, by the way. 40. The exact number he threw in the trash. Same hands, same 40, different bin. The trash can from that old kitchen, I kept it. It holds shipping receipts now. Nothing precious. So, if you're standing over your own trash can, holding the thing you love, waiting for someone's permission, I need you to hear this. The voice that says you're wasting your life isn't yours. Put the thing back on the shelf. And if one of the people watching you is someone who used to call you worthless, that's not your problem either. Your only job is to make the thing. I'm here, making little lemons. 220,000 of you watch me now. And if you're one of them, the one who used to call me worthless, hi, you're still subscriber number 47. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you want to see what comes next. I read every comment. See you in the next one.